Imagine you are sitting with a friend, maybe over a cup of coffee, and you start talking about the world. You probably recognize that stubborn feeling of being right, that inner certainty that your way of seeing things is the only logical way. We all have that. It is like a default setting in our minds. Now think about the biggest problems we face today, the really overwhelming ones, like climate change, or feeling powerless in a huge, impersonal system. It feels like we are stuck, right? Like no single person can really make a dent. This feeling of being stuck, of facing problems too big to solve, is exactly what the thinker Bookchin spent his life trying to untangle. He looked at our environmental and social crises and didn't just see a technical problem to be fixed with a new gadget or a new law from a faraway capital. He saw a problem of how we think, how we organize ourselves, and most importantly, how we relate to each other and the natural world. His core idea is surprisingly simple, yet it challenges everything we are used to. He believed that to heal our planet, we must fundamentally change how we govern ourselves, moving away from giant, centralized states and corporations, and towards small, self-governing communities where regular people have direct say over the decisions that affect their lives. This is his ecological utopia, not a perfect fantasy world, but a practical possibility based on a deeper understanding. You probably recognize that feeling of frustration when a decision made by a huge company or a distant government messes up your local park or your town's water supply. There's a disconnect. The people making the choice never have to live with the consequences. Bookchin called this a growing cancer of centralization. He argued that this model of organizing society, where power is concentrated at the top, is not just unfair, but is actually the root cause of our ecological disaster. It allows for exploitation on a massive scale because the decision makers are divorced from the local environment they are exploiting. The solution, he proposed, is to bring power back home. This is where it gets personal. To understand his solution, we first have to understand a tension within ourselves. Many of us cling to familiar ideas because they feel safe. They are our mental shortcuts. Remember when you were a kid and you realized a belief you held, maybe about something like Santa Claus or why the sky is blue, wasn't quite true. There was that moment of cognitive dissonance, a slight internal shock as your old understanding had to make room for a new, more complex one. We experience mini versions of this all our lives. We have an instinct to see things in simple, black and white terms because it is easier. It is our brain trying to save energy. But we also possess a deeper awareness, an ability to think in terms of whole systems, relationships, and long-term consequences. This is the thinking required to understand ecology itself. The idea that everything is connected in a delicate web. You cannot just dump chemicals in a river upstream without affecting every town, every fish, and every ecosystem downstream. This systems thinking is our higher consciousness, and Bookchin believed our social structures should be built to encourage it, not suppress it. Our current centralized systems appeal to and reward our simpler, more hierarchical instincts. They encourage a me first and short-term gain mentality. This is how we fool ourselves. We tell ourselves that someone else, somewhere smarter and more powerful, will handle the big problems. We vote for a party and hope they fix it. We buy a recycled product and hope it is enough. We outsource our responsibility and our power because the system is designed for us to do just that. We become passive consumers rather than active citizens. Bookchin's principle of decentralization is about breaking that spell. It is about recognizing that real change, lasting change, doesn't come from the top down. It comes from us, from the bottom up, from the community level, where we can see the direct results of our choices. He once directly said, "The notion that man must dominate nature emerges directly from the domination of man by man. Think about that for a second. He is connecting the dots between how we treat each other and how we treat the planet. If we have a society built on hierarchy, where one person has power over another, that mindset of domination will inevitably be applied to the natural world. We will see a forest not as a community to live within, but as a resource to be managed and extracted. End ecological destruction, we must also end social domination. We must create communities based on face-to-face democracy, where we discuss, debate, and decide together how to live in a way that benefits both people and the planet. This isn't just a political idea. It is a profound shift in consciousness, from seeing ourselves as separate from nature to understanding that we are a part of it. This cracks open a whole new way of seeing our place in the world, a shift from being passive consumers to active citizens. We start noticing the world in a simpler way, where problems seem to have clear, direct causes and obvious solutions. We see a plastic bottle in a river, and we think the answer is just better recycling programs. We see a news story about a factory polluting, and we demand stricter government regulations from afar. This is where we often begin, looking for the one magic lever to pull that will fix everything, believing that if we just find the right technical solution or vote for the right leader, the system will correct itself. It is a comfortable place, this starting point, because it does not ask too much of us personally. It allows us to point outward, to assign blame and responsibility to faceless entities like corporations or governments, while our own daily lives remain largely unchanged. But then we enter the confusing middle, and this is where things get genuinely difficult. This is the phase where our simple explanations start to feel inadequate. We learn that recycling is largely broken, that many of our carefully sorted plastics are shipped overseas and dumped. We see that new regulations often come with loopholes or are undermined by corporate lobbying. The sheer scale and complexity of the ecological crisis can become overwhelming, a tangled knot of economic, political, and social threads that seems impossible to unravel. You might be someone who resists change at first, preferring the comfort of the known, even if it is flawed. Most of us feel uneasy during transitions, and this middle phase is all about that unease. It is deeply frustrating. We want to help, but our individual actions feel like drops in a polluted ocean, and the large-scale solutions we were taught to believe in seem perpetually out of reach or ineffective.